Hello art journalists, this is Natalie from NK Design. In today's video tutorial I will show you how to create a beautiful background using the same acrylic paints, stencils and tools in multiple layers. And I show you how to push yourself even further even though you think you possibly cannot add another layer. I have prepped my page with a little bit of masking tape. I'm not using gesso because I know I will be using acrylic paints. The acrylic paints will seal the page by itself. For my first layer I add spice tan and yellow to my page with a dry brush. I clean my brush on a paper towel and use the same brush to add some blue to the page. The first layer is still a little bit wet. With the same blue and an urban artist stencil, I start adding some circles to the page. By the way, as always, you will find the products that I'm using in this project in the description box below. Next up, I'm adding some pink, and yes, it's still a dry brush. With some black paint and a Kaisercraft stencil, I'm adding a new layer. Since I am using just a little bit of paint, usually the layers dry very quickly. Just make sure that the layers are dry so that it doesn't smear. As you can see, I keep layering and layering and layering and covering things partially up again. But this is what adds interest to the background. Just try it. Push yourself to add more and more, even if you think you can't do any more. At this stage I have lost count how many layers I've already done, but I keep continuing adding more. I think I've pushed the layering far enough. I'm ready for the next stage. I want to add some collage to the background, and I'm doing that with the help of a jelly print I made. Now, the front I actually didn't like as much, so I'm using the back instead. After I have cut out the scallops and the circles, I'm gluing it down with the help of Liquitex matte medium. Using a baby wipe, I removed the excess of the matte medium. Then I sketched a cute girl with the help of a grey lead pencil and a reference photo on Pinterest. Acrylic paint is usually quite opaque, but I don't want to cover up the background completely, so I'm creating a glaze using some of the Center's Flash and a little bit of matte medium. I've added a little bit of coral to her cheeks and lips and then move on to the hair. Now that the paint is dry, I'm adding details with colored pencils. I'm using a combination of Faber-Castell Polychromos and the Prismacolors. For the white in her eyes, I've used a Posca marker. Another way to add white details is to use the white Stabilo All. Obviously, it's not as opaque as a Posca marker. To intensify the colors in her eyes, I'm using Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pens. The colors are cobalt green and light cobalt turquoise. I keep switching between colored pencils and markers to add more details to her face. Adding a sparkle to her eyes, I think that just makes her come to life, don't you think so? With a white pen I'm adding some details to the scallop, just to tie everything in together. And to make her stand out from the background just a little bit more, I'm adding a wash of tumbled dye ink, which is a light grey, and a little bit of water. With 3 different colored pencils I'm adding the quote. It's completely freehand because I want to keep it loose. Adding my date stamp, and I call this one done. I truly hope you have enjoyed watching this video. If so, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. I'll see you next time. Until then, happy arting!